want to welcome everybody to my show. For those who are new, the reason for the title of the show is Bach is music, and the orchestra plays Bach, and we will actually play some Bach today. Bagels is because it's brunch time, so you should have your cup of coffee and your bagel and join us for music and conversation. And Bob, because that's me. And so we started this as a way to stay together, to stay connected, and to communicate. And we've been fortunate to be able to work with the town of Madison, keep things going by using the Madison Community Arts Center. And in return, they've just asked that we would help promote the town, and which I'm happy to do, which I want to do. So let me acknowledge some of our sponsors. So this is thanks to the Madison Community Arts Center. Those of you who joined us for our virtual Summer Music Festival know that we were able to do all our recording at the Arts Center, thanks to Eric Hafen, the director, and to the town of Madison for letting us go in and film and record so that we could still do something, even if it was a virtual festival. And we did our virtual December concert, December 6th, at the Arts Center. And we're hoping to do a winter a virtual festival as well, but we haven't worked out all the details yet. So amongst the Madison groups, we do a lot with the Madison Arts and Cultural Alliance. MACA is a great resource in the town of Madison for the arts and for culture. And we work with the Madison Downtown Development Commission as well. Morris Arts is a sponsor of the Baroque Orchestra of New Jersey. And through their grants, even more their help with promotion and working together is such a big part of what we do. We work with the Morris County Tourism Bureau as well, doing collaborative concerts, collaborative events. They've enabled us to perform with and work with the historical associations and the historical parks and all in Morris County. And we work together with the Morris County Chamber of Commerce. So another good collaboration and working relationship. We have done 2 concerts and many events in collaboration with the Madison Area YMCA. Romanelli's is a restaurant in Madison that is still open. If you can support the local businesses, it's such a big help to all of us. And I'm sure most of you have joined us at one time or another at our big parties that are so wonderfully held at Romanelli's. Madison Bagel Cafe, where we meet to talk. There's such a great little business in Madison. We go there, have coffee, and just have our meetings and such. Shanghai Jazz, one of the greatest jazz clubs, recognized as one of the leading jazz clubs in the world, is right here in Madison as well. Salvatore Minardi is a sponsor, and I have to say he's the one responsible for doing my hair and trimming my beard and all. And Maestro Minardi is a big part of everything I do and the Baroque Orchestra. The Madison Pharmacy has been in Madison for many, many years, serving the community. Big help from Evan Ardell, who is with us today. Thank you, Evan, for joining us. And Evan Ardell Financial Services. Wonderful, wonderful business if you're looking for some help. And Sound Ledgers for accounting from Andrew Massini, who is the treasurer of the Baroque Orchestra of New Jersey. And mostly, though, we can do what we do because of you. And everything that we do is made possible because of your help, your support, your being here, your sharing our work, sharing our activities and our music, and by your donations. That is what keeps us going. And if you wish to make a contribution, and I thank many of you already have, and we are incredibly deeply grateful for your help so that we can keep the orchestra alive, keep doing the virtual concerts, keep promoting and being part of a very active and vital community. And hopefully I'd love to be doing something in the spring, but it's looking more and more like maybe we can be able to do a summer concert, an actual live in-person concert outside, or at least open the doors and do something. But if you wish to make a contribution, this is the address to which you can mail us a check. And whatever amount, every amount helps. Believe me, it is extremely welcome. If you wish to know more about what we do, I'd be happy to put you on our newsletter list. Many of you are already on the newsletter list. Drop me an email. That's my personal email, bobboot@aol.com. And I will immediately add your name to our subscription list. Those of you who get our newsletter, it comes out once, sometimes twice a week. It's filled with information on upcoming events, upcoming concerts, and just information on what I and members of the orchestra are doing. Often they're information and links to quizzes and just basically great articles on the musicians and on composers and on the music. So that's the ad for today. And we come back. So today is a very special program with some very special guests. If you noticed, one of the newsletters had asked the question, how many ways can a pianist participate with an orchestra? And I came up with 6, and between Sohyun and John, they've done all 6, which are play as a soloist with a concerto with the orchestra, play a solo recital just by themselves, accompany chamber music performances, be the rehearsal pianist, just all of these many ways. And between them, they've done them all. So very pleased to work with Sohyun and John over the years. So I want to start by playing something, a clip by Sohyun, and then we'll welcome Sohyun and she can tell us about herself. Sohyun. That was beautiful. And Sohyun introduced me to that's the Chopin's first piano concerto, the very first movement. So, Sohyun, tell us about yourself.
That was amazing. I haven't seen that video since I played. Thank you for showing me. Hi, everyone. I'm Sohyun. I'm a concert pianist. Very ordinary pianist, just loving music like you. Thankfully, I have played in many countries, like 10 European countries, Asian countries, and then in US as well. I played in Carnegie Hall and the Lincoln Center, and then outside of New York. I played at Baltimore, Chicago, and Dallas, but very importantly in Madison at Grace Church, and also Baskinich at libraries for many years. I'm very thankful that I have family there, my musical family. So glad to see you here. I know some of you living in New Jersey. I'm living in New York City at the moment. Some of you are connected from Korea and London. It's very much worldwide. So this is so exciting connecting. It's very privileged and then honored position here. Thank you. Right before pandemic, I gave my bucket list. I made my bucket list that playing all complete Mozart piano sonatas, and I made it in the fall of 2019 in New York City. And then after that, I finished my concert in December. I gave another concert in January, and then February, then pandemic started. So I was being so thankful that I finished it, and then during the COVID, there was no concert in New York City. Everything is shutting down. I gave a little concerts virtually and also very tiny audience in person. However, mostly almost no activities at the moment. So my neighbors giving me little notes that, Sohyun, I enjoyed your Tchaikovsky. Sohyun, I enjoyed the Chopin Nocturne practicing. So mostly I am serving my neighbors and with my practicing and the performing, trying to share my joy, trying to sending little piece during this difficult time. And also I'm teaching very talented students. They also build their strength as a musician. So this is what I'm doing at the moment, and surviving as you all do. I've known Maestro for over 20 years, almost 20 years, right? Yes, we played operas. We began with operas. I was accompanist, and then Maestro was leading me a very wonderful way. I learned so many things from him. And then we played concertos together. And then that was a great opportunity. I was tasted Chopin you just watched, and then Mozart, and the Shostakovich. It was just wonderful experience. And then I have noticed that because of your dedication, and then because of your love for music, and then serving the community as a musician, I know you have mentioned from WXQR. Right? Yes, yes. I want to share the news with you. Would you tell us what was the occasion, please?
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you, Sohyun. Yes, it was Jeff Spurgeon and his show on this past Monday. I and the orchestra got a shout out as for what's called Seize the Day dedication for my and our work during the COVID pandemic. So thank you for mentioning that. It was quite an honor.
The overture to Two Cabins, a work by the Polish composer Karl Kurpinski, 19th century composer. That was the orchestra's Symphony of Varsovia, conducted by Grzegorz Nowak on WQXR. 7:53 now, and time for a Seize the Day dedication, paying tribute to people who do good work in the world these days. Evan Ardell is the WQXR listener. Nominating this morning, Dr. Robert W, composer, arranger, music director of the Baroque Orchestra of New Jersey. And Evan says that Dr. Butts has done lots for music lovers during the pandemic. Video quizzes for classical music fans, collaborating with other musicians on performance videos, and a number of other projects that share Dr. Butts' love of music with his New Jersey community, especially in the area of Madison. Sounds like Dr. Butts has been busy for months and months. Special projects, an end-of-year opera, lots more. I tell you, to create things that entertain people and involve them these days is a special skill and a great way to keep communities alive when the usual in-person activities are so much harder. And musical groups, choirs especially, orchestras, are among those affiliations that just cannot easily share activities in the usual ways right now. So here's to you, Dr. Robert Butts, for seizing the day for your Baroque Orchestra of New Jersey community and people around. That's the kind of work we love to pay tribute to here on WQXR.
I missed it. I actually was not home, but fortunately WQXR recorded it and sent a copy. So that was
Congrats.
a big privilege for me as well.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'd like to introduce our second guest, John Pavarnik. John has played Baroque concertos with me. He's played classical concertos with me. He's played modern music with us. Just incredibly versatile. And he too has been an opera rehearsal pianist and has done a lot at our chamber music concert. One of the nice things I love about working with great musicians like John and Sohyun is they introduce me to music that I wouldn't be aware of. And one of the first concertos we did with John was an early concerto of Mozart's, I think number 8. And I wasn't aware of any of the early concertos and probably had dismissed them as being youthful and not as interesting. And John showed me that the early concertos are as exciting and wonderful as the later concertos. So let's listen to the finale, some of the last movement of Mozart's 8th piano concerto with guest John Pavarnik. So, John, great to see you. Great to hear you play. That was a wonderful. That piece was so memorable. So, tell us a little bit about who is John Pavarnik.
Okay. Well, I was pleased to see that video, Bob. I don't think I've ever seen it. I had a lot more hair at the time.
Didn't we all?
It was great. It was a fun piece to play. Well, I'm John Pavarnik. I've been a Madison resident since 1976. I haven't always been in the music profession. I worked in the corporate world as a computer programmer for 26 years. And in the year 2000, at the age of 50, I decided I had had enough of the corporate waste, and it was time to do something for myself. And I always dreamed of being a private piano teacher, and that's when I started my studio in Madison. And I've been doing that for 21 years now. Extremely pleased to be able to teach in my own home. I'm also a church organist at St. Peter's Episcopal Church in Essex Fells, where I'm also the choir master. And I've really enjoyed my relationship with the Baroque Orchestra, having opportunities to play concerti and to work with gifted musicians, accompany singers, instrumentalists, and just working with Bob has been a great experience. I think, Bob, we started working together before the orchestra had its roots. I think there was a quartet or maybe a sextet.
Yeah.
And we used to rehearse in Boonton at the
That's right, at the library.
At the library, and then at the theater.
At the Darris Theater.
Darris
And we
Theater.
even took a trip to Boston together.
We did, to
Played at the Boston Early Music Festival.
Early Music Festival. I remember rehearsing in the theater one night. We had to have umbrellas so
Yeah,
the rain wouldn't come in on the piano.
that's so true. Well, it's been great, John. I mean, over the years, we've done so
Yeah,
much wonderful music and wonderful experiences.
yeah, I'm a firm believer in blooming where I'm planted, and I've had a lot of great opportunities in this area. I grew up in the northeastern part of Pennsylvania, did my undergraduate study at Susquehanna University, and did graduate study at Temple, and further graduate study in Cologne, Germany on a Rotary Foundation grant, where I actually majored in a vocal accompanying course called Liedbegleitung, song accompanying, which was, at the time, I was impressed to find out that that was a major course of study, which I pursued. But I always had good piano teachers who encouraged me to accompany as much as possible, accompany singers and instrumentalists. And the value to that is I learned a lot of repertoire, which I would otherwise not have known. French art songs, German lieder, contemporary pieces by American composers like Samuel Barber and Copland, and just having a collaboration with singers was just a wonderful thing to do.
Well, thank you, John. We're going to show a little bit of a collaboration with a singer in a little bit that you've done. One of the interesting things about working with Sohyun and John is they've both played such a diversity of music with us, ranging from Bach in the early 18th century through modern music. So I want to talk a little bit about what it's like to, how differently, if differently, do you approach 20th century music, 21st century music versus 18th century music. So what I would like to do is start by playing one of my all-time favorite memories. The first, I mean, we met, Sohyun and I met, as she said, she was the accompanist for the Little Opera Company, the rehearsal pianist, and actually played in the opera with the orchestra. And then in 2005, we got together and did concerts at New Theater in Blairstown. And it was an incredible experience. In June of 2005, we did 3 consecutive Sunday concerts. Each one was sold out. So I don't think, in fact, we were only scheduled to do 2. We had to add a 3rd concert. The demand was so great. This was probably one of the most intense concerts I've ever conducted. In that concert, we started with Mendelssohn's Hebrides Overture. Then Gary Pate, whom you've all met on my show, and he's sung with us many times, he's at the Metropolitan Opera, sang Nessun Dorma. And then Sohyun played the Shostakovich Second Piano Concerto. Now that's a whole concert in itself. But the second half of the concert, we did the Mozart Requiem, and then we did the quartet from Verdi's Rigoletto. So it was an incredible experience in every way, to the sold out concerts, to being out in Blairstown, and be doing this remarkable music. So I'm going to play excerpts from the second and first movements. I've reversed them because it's more exciting to end with the more exciting movement. And the whole piece, the whole concerto is remarkable. And I apologize, I'm going to have to cut some of it short because what I wanted to play was almost 15 minutes long, which was almost the whole concerto, and we just don't have time for that. But I want to play some of I think the second movement of the Shostakovich Second Piano Concerto is one of the most beautiful movements written in the 20th century. incredible, I think, performance. So Jan, tell us, do you approach contemporary music, modern music, differently than Baroque or classical music? Or how do you approach performing a piece like Shostakovich compared to Bach and Mozart?
Sure. The common thing for each composer when I approach is I want to understand his language. So for Shostakovich's case, I found that was really uncertain world, like communism and then world wars there. The world is changing, the mechanical things are going on, and then there's some death involved and some incredible things are happening. But his music was very clear, very easy to understand. And also he wants to try to put like a huge contrast between ideas, and also he's got beautiful lyrical lines. And then considering he was the first competitors of the Chopin international competition in Poland, he got honorable mention from there. So he was really pursuing as a pianist when he was young. So he understood as a pianist lyrical line. And then considering that Chopin was following Mozart's beautiful lyrical line, they're all connected. They are trying to understand, trying to approach musical ideas their own way. So I found that it really doesn't make any huge difference between any period. But however, it's how you express composer's ideas more, and then more, and then also how you understand his language more. So I was contrasting clarity and then also dynamic changes, because his dynamic range was from fortissimo to pianissimo, and then it's not gradually happening. And suddenly I have forte, I have pianissimo, I had a huge fortissimo with orchestra, and then suddenly I have my pianissimo coming when everyone is silent. So I was enjoying those moments, and then I'm sure he intended those huge contrasts, showing his musical ideas.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
John, you've played a lot of contemporary music with us.
Yes.
I don't know that you've done much 20th century, but you've certainly done a lot of 21st century and premiered some works. It took me a while to figure out what I wanted to mostly show that you've played on a contemporary level. And you've premiered several works, a couple of concertos and several of my pieces of music. So what I decided was I'd like to show how you accompany a singer, since you talked about it, and played a brand new piece by mine when you and Timmy Cole premiered the song settings I made on poems of Phyllis Wheatley. So I want to play one of those songs, and then you can tell us, how do you approach performing a piece of music that nobody else has ever played before? John, tell us, how do you approach performing brand new music?
Well, I have a system for approaching brand new music as well as music that's been around for hundreds of years. I usually follow a three-step procedure. 3 I's. I emotionalize, I analyze, and I synthesize. When I'm attacking a new piece of music, I play through it just to get my own emotional feeling, trying to figure out what's the composer trying to say here, and what can I do to make this piece work. Then I take it apart. I go into the analytical part and work out one hand, left hand, right hand. I always like to attack the most difficult technical passages first, so that I can always come back to them and save the easy parts for last. And then synthesize. I put it all back together when I feel technically competent, that I can play the notes, get the notes out on time, and still keep it musical as opposed to keeping it technical. Then it all comes together for me. And working with a singer is an additional level of engagement. When I accompany it, I don't feel that I'm just providing accompaniment. I feel I'm providing support. I have to breathe with the singer. I have to follow the singer's body language for inflection, and take into account that I'm not the soloist, she is, but we are, or he is, but we're working together to create, a finished product. And that's pretty much how I approach, most music that I do.
Terrific, John. Thank you. One of the unique things about pianists, well, there are many unique things about any instrumentalist, but one thing about pianists is that they divide their time between playing in an orchestral ensemble setting and playing all by themselves, playing the sonata repertoire, the songs without words, just the many, many solo piano works, and having to do solo recitals. So I'm going to play an example from each. I'm going to start with John and ask, do you approach it differently, or what is the difference in performing when you're the only one there and when you're in the middle of an orchestra? So the first thing I want to play is John from the virtual festival. The weekly song was also from our virtual festival, when John played a marvelous set, and I'd like to move to Franz Schubert. And John did this wonderful performance of Schubert Impromptu. So let's listen to John play and then talk about what is it like to play a solo piece versus playing with the orchestra. John, what is how do you feel about, what is the differences? What does it feel like to sometimes play all by yourself versus playing in the midst of a full orchestra?
Well, when I play by myself, I feel I am the orchestra, or I have to create that phenomena. A lot of thought goes into the preparation of the piece. I have to know a bit about the composer. I like to listen to composers' other works. For instance, Schubert's one of my favorite composers, but I listen to his symphonies. I love his chamber music. I love his lieder, of many of which I've played, hundreds of them, and they're all so unique and so beautiful. And he never ran out of a good idea for a melody. But I feel I'm the total unit. Not only the melody, I'm trying to orchestrate what I'm playing. Think about how would this sound if it were played by a string quartet, or how would this sound if it were played by a wind ensemble or orchestra, and try to project that image in playing, trying to throw the sound out of the piano, and not just putting keys down. So I feel a bigger sense of responsibility for the whole piece than if I'm playing with an orchestra.
Excellent. Okay, for Sohyun, I'm going to play some Bach. And Sohyun, you have a CD coming out, right? In a week or two, on the Bach Goldberg variations. And so she has been kind enough to provide a little video of her playing some of the Goldberg variations. So before she tells us what it's like to play solo versus with an orchestra, let's listen to Sohyun playing Bach. Sohyun, tell us how do you feel differently, or does it feel different to play just yourself, be the only one on stage, versus playing within the middle of an orchestra?
For the performance, I prepare like 200%, 500%. And then when I go onto the stage, I can do 100% of my performance. And then that's more like a preparation and then understanding of my composer's competition, and also that's happening with the communicating with the audience. And then, so every time I play differently because different piano and different acoustic, different audience. I decide my tempo, I decide my depth of my touch, everything. However, when I play with other performers like orchestra or chamber music, there's another fact that composer is intending this piece as a group. So sometimes I'm not a soloist. I need to be background, or sometimes I can be a duet, or sometimes I can be a soloist. Sometimes the audience needs to be soloist. Sometimes my other performer needs to be soloist. So all other facts are coming in as well. So I have to prepare extra more because there are many other facts that I have to consider, and then many uncertain facts coming. What if my performer decided slightly slower tempo? Then I have to be ready. What if my performer takes slightly faster tempo with louder sound? Then I have to be ready for that as well. It's not like just me. It's more like a preparation of every aspect that we can decide to be together. And then also, what if audience cannot hear us because of a ringing acoustic? So we have to be ready for that as well. So all those facts I decide, I prepare in advance, especially when I play with the orchestra. It's so exciting because I don't know how much piano they can do. I don't know how much forte I can do with the orchestra. So those things I have to determine with the touch of a piano, and then instrument, which is my body of sound, piano's capacity, and then also communication with the conductor, which is communication with other instrumentalists. So all those facts are so exciting because before the performance, I never can imagine. I only can imagine a little bit. I can prepare it, but it's all happening when I am there. So we are, when I'm well prepared, I'm confident, and then also it's just so much excitement to like meeting you and then showing my joy to the music, and then also communication with the audience, the silence, bigger sound, subtle sound, all kind of imitation from the nature. Those things are all happening at the moment. I think that's the beauty of the live concert, and that we're all missing right now.
Terrific. I have one more video that I'd like to play, and then I'll open it up for a few minutes for some, if anybody has any questions or has anything they'd like to say to either Sohyun or John. We started with Chopin, so I think I'd like to close with a Chopin excerpt. Again, Sohyun, that first piano concerto, one of my favorite pieces that I've performed. I think Sohyun has a touch on slow movements that really moves me very deeply. And the slow movement of the Chopin concerto, when she performed it, the only word that came to my mind was angelic. It just is so sublime and so beautiful. So the last video, we started with Chopin, closed with Chopin, and it's on a piece. And maybe peace is a great thing for today's world. Some kind of a piece of the kind of peace that can come with a beautiful piece of music. So, so beautiful. So does anybody have any questions, any comments, anything they'd like to say to or ask to Sohyun or John?
Yeah, I do.
John?
Sohyun, when you're playing Chopin, do you feel he's speaking to your heart?
I feel like he is in my heart.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
He is a
It's
way.
like you can't separate it.
It was very heartfelt playing.
Thank
Say
you.
that again, John. I'm sorry.
It was very heartfelt playing.
Thank
It was.
you.
It was. It was. I think I cried while I was conducting. By the time we got to the end of the movement, I think my eyes were watering. It was so beautiful. And my eyes water. I cry a lot when I'm conducting. Anybody else have any comments? Anything they'd like to ask or say? Okay, well, thank you, Sohyun. Thank you, John, for joining us. It was a great pleasure to have you. Thank you all for being part of the show this morning. It has been recorded. I will edit it, and some of the clips will be a little bit longer on the final editing. Not too much, but a little bit more complete. And you're welcome. My newsletter will go out probably on Tuesday, and we'll have a link to the edited version so you can watch it again and enjoy these wonderful artists a second time. And you can tell all your friends what they missed and that they can be sure to watch it. Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Stay well, stay safe. See you next time. Bye-bye.
You too, Bob. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful
Thank you,
program.
Bob, for doing this.
Thank you, Bob.
Did very well, Bob. Stay well.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. It was
So-
beautiful, Sohyun.
Thank you. I miss everyone. I love. I really miss the live concert, interacting with you.
Bob gives us pieces of it.
Exactly. Yes. Little taste of that. What is the live performance like? Like, CDs I'm listening to, and also music I listen to the radio, but it's not the same. It's not the same. I communicate with you.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Yes, a bit soon. Yes, this year, definitely.
Later this year, yeah.
That would be great. So wonderful to see everyone is healthy.
Yes.
And yes, thank you.
Yeah, healthy.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.